You become a film star.
You know what I feel like? I feel like a sort of middle-aged tree being heavily pruned.
Prune. I know
Well,
what's pruning is, but
yeah.
why prune?
Well, because you are pruning me. You're making me, as you would put it, come to the point, and be reasonable, rational, and direct. And there's part of me which thinks that's a jolly good idea. There's part of me that thinks this is dreadful. I never thought of how awful it was to be an apple tree being pruned.
But it's easier for the others when listening to you without the context.
Yes,
Understand what you
yes,
say.
yes. And I've got to remember too that I'm speaking my own language, and many people are listening with, in some cases, a command of English as bad as my command of German.
Exactly. Exactly. But I think that one of the things is to create a community around, and to bring people together, and to maybe to find those stakeholders that are willing to go an extra mile and build the resource bank.
Oh, you just managed to. Oh, I was going to get rich.
So to make the resource bank up and running, like like
Yeah.
so I think that I feel like finally it's not just because so far the things I came up with I'm happy with. But
How often would these things go up?
I imagine once a week, once in 2 weeks. But also
It's worth thinking how often, because if it's not too infrequent, it doesn't become a habit for them. Because some people, if they begin to be interested,
yeah, but we will put up other things as well. So, for example, I was thinking about you gave me a lot of material before, like books to share. And,
yeah,
have you used this book? Do you have any experience?
yeah, yeah,
I just need to collect enough material to keep on going.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and also what I would be interested in is getting more people as admin people for the page. So it's not just me putting content, but there are more of us putting content. But
Absolutely.
someone I have to start.
Yeah.
But very often what happens is, I know you're not following your Facebook page, but people who know you from the past, like your old friends, are commenting and they're asking you how are you and so on and so on. So
Yeah.
I always politely reply that this is your fan page, so this is not you behind. So they know that I don't want them to write any private stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not knowing.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a good tool to get together the people who know you.
Yeah, sure.
And
Because some of those people are, in their own contexts, are carrier pigeons. Somebody like
Pablo
Judith is the author of the main course book in Hungary, or was the main course book in Hungary. So she's massively well known around the country.
It's interesting because I have never.
She was also well known because of the gathering student tours that we did in Hungary. I went on 2 with her.
I've never heard of her before. And this is, I think, what I hope that with our resource bank will change. That there is going to be one place.
So people who are very well known nationally will become internationally well known.
And also that you kind of know where to go if you want to get more information, marketing information.
Yeah.
I will have to think about also the way how to store information on the Facebook page before we transfer it to a normal website.
Yeah.
But still, we need to have Facebook page anyway, because that's what allows us to collect materials from other people easily.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any? I was wondering, like, do you have any? What's your private ambition? Like, not the obvious good thing that comes out of this, because I can't see anything that would be negative about it. Is there anything, just your like a personal thing, like a private thing, that why would you think that this is a good idea to do, or why you are investing your time and energy into it? Into building up the resource bank?
The original motivation was to avoid my office being emptied into a yellow skip by my darling sons. They would have to do that. There's no other choice. In the same way that there was no other choice but to break up a fantastic, brilliant library that my father-in-law had built up of English and French books, which were deeply according to the rules of his thinking.
What did you do with them?
We sent some to charity shops. We took some ourselves. The three of us, I mean the three, I'm putting myself with Sophie, the three Laris children of Pierre Laris, but we basically tore his library to pieces. We tore something which would followed the man's life development as a professional, and we stamped all over it. And we stole bits of it. I mean, we had to do it. I know it. But Sophie says, don't be so idiotic. And it's her father, not mine.
But why wouldn't you donate the whole library?
We should have done. You're dead right. And that's one of my reasons. Is that when you take away in a way, the richness of a person's life is partly shown by the things that he or she has around him or her. So, for example, a book I have to get hold of, following a radio program this morning as I was driving to German, was a poet called Antara. In the 6th century in Saudi Arabia, what is now Saudi Arabia, before Muhammad. Who was a marvelous knight and a brilliant troubadour, a brilliant poet, who really it seems according to the program, I know nothing except what I heard, set a whole future for Arabic poetry and set classical norms which then other poets had to break out of to do something new. And I need to get a version of this book. It's on a very interesting program that happens every Thursday morning on the way to German for me.
Do you listen to it regularly?
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons for going by car rather than by train. And they cover all sorts of different topics: science, ancient history, ancient literature, legal things, all sorts of things, marvellously broad. But if I get that book and I start writing notes in it and things like that, which I sometimes do, that makes my personal library kind of a bit rich because of the books that come together according to my needs. And that was superbly true of my father-in-law. Whose whole work was in one room.
Well, since he was a translator, I mean, it must have been amazing library.
Absolutely, it was. It was. And the people who commented on his work always mentioned the breadth of his thinking. I mean, he's not known in the way that Umberto Eco is known, because Umberto Eco was also a great novelist.
I think he's known for not being a translator, but being a novelist.
Absolutely. But he's also then massively interested in on his translators into English and Japanese, and got about 15 different translators.
Was Pierre the name of Sophie's father, right?
Yeah, Pierre Lies.
So was Pierre the same time? Was Umberto Eco the
In nome della Rosa.
Yeah, but was he at the same? Did he live at the same time?
But I was sort of, more or less, yes. And Umberto Eco has just died, or not yet died, I can't remember.
I don't know either. I think he died.
I think he's died, but I don't, yeah. But a person's library is an interesting part of them, especially if they're in certain areas.
Yes, I agree. I would. That's why I think that Rakesh should be more careful with donating his books and then putting them in an order before.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think about this idea that I need?
And what he has to bring to an EFL, did you say archive?
Almost.
I think it ought to be geometric. I think it ought to be, the first one is just 10p. The next one is 10 by 10. So each time you do it, it gets worse.
Okay.
Punishment is more severe.
We talked about
You were trying to ask me about, yes, it's the experience of destroying a man's life work in a way. And I found Sophie insensitive, unusually so, to that. There she was simply practical. She said, we've got to do this and we've got to do it sensibly, we've got to do it harmoniously. There she was right. That it would have been awful if she and Jean, her elder brother, had started having a fight over a particular book or a particular drawing or a particular whatever.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, no books are more important than your family relationships.
I mean, there were photographs by that French photographer who everybody knows.
Well, I would not. I can't recall any French photographers, so the name, I don't think it will ring a bell.
Okay. But I mean, those photographs are actually physically valuable. Mm-hmm. And the one we had, which we took, we've now sent to given to Martin, our middle guy.
What do you think about?
The real thing is that it doesn't depend on me. It depends on other people taking my little pebble and turning it into a riverbed. Now that's really, that's the motivation. And the ideas bank, rather than the archive, if I use it that way, I'm allowed to use it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I suddenly thought you might be also getting onto the geometric form of this punishment. Is to make sure that it's still available. And when Jim says this is all old stuff, I'd actually like to punch him. That shows he, in a way, he doesn't understand.
He doesn't. We discussed that yesterday about.
He really doesn't understand.
He doesn't even understand. I don't know him, but I talked to Lizzie about why I want all old people at the conference, and she said that we should look into the future. But I said, okay, so who are the current trainers? We didn't have any young ones, really. So
thank you very much for not employing anybody young.
Right. So there is no point of And I thought and I believe that. And I told that Lizzie yesterday. I think that pilgrims should monetize on having such a great names being part of that school. I wouldn't know that. Basically, I found in the past year that whoever meant something or means something in ELT, one way or the other, was connected with pilgrims.
No.
Oh well.
Well, I know what you need. No, I take that back because you said in what you found in the past year.
Yes.
That's fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
That yes, I have no I can't object to that.
I'm not saying that everyone.
No, that would be bananas, massive bananas.
But it's a lot. It's a wide range of people, and I think that not many other teacher training centers has such a great gallery of big names. But I'm not saying it's accurate.
No, it's in your perception.
Yeah,
fair
I'm
enough.
not saying it's accurate, but all I'm saying is that to build on this treasure, it's an actual, it's marketing, financially, it's just a sensible thing. Regardless
But at the same time, Jim is right in that we need to be future focused, and this stuff is.
Of course, that's absolutely clear. But you only can have a future if you don't forget your past and you build up on that.
Yeah.
So I think that doing this and building up on names.
But Rakesh is a very extreme example of a person who has had massive access to and has found it's not okay for him. At some level, a lot of this stuff has not been okay for him.
For Rakesh.
To Rakesh.
I also think that it's
and it may be his defenses are particularly strong in a certain direction or what.
Well, no, we had an argument, not me, but Andrea, or even me, about whether Rakesh was or wasn't Pilgrim's trainer. And and he has never. I know him for quite a long time, but he 4 or 5 years quite intensively, and he never really claimed being a Pilgrim's trainer. So I wouldn't know. I never really realized.
No, but I think that's true. I think that though having an intellectually very sharp mind, the idea of the whole person being involved in language learning is something which, in some sort of way, for reasons I don't understand, he has to say no to.
Has to say no to what?
To the idea of whole person learning.
I think I don't know, but I think that
He's quite happy to.
I think that philosophically he's very close, from what I know, from what I can judge. But I think that what is his flaw is that he is not consistent in his effort and in his work. If he kept on working not at his best, but half of his normal speed, he would have got a big,
He'd have had a lot of books.
yes, and
Of course.
a lot of results.
Yes.
But because he's not doing anything with his mind, and he doesn't utilize it anyhow, and I don't think that he could. You can't be at Pilgrims, and you can't not wake up and not to take the lesson.
Having said which, each person expresses themselves in their own way. And books are just one way of expressing yourself.
That's true.
And I think they're very important, but then I would, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
But I am fully aware that there are lots of other ways of being extraordinarily powerful and important in the movement without having published pages and pages and pages and pages.
So I'm wondering that how could we, for example, utilize maybe Rakesh mind power, or maybe Hanya's mind power, or Steffi's Balotto, or Peter Dyer, or whoever, how we could. Is there something that would cross your mind that they can contribute, or how they could get involved? I was thinking about
in what?
In the resource bank thing. I was thinking, for example, about I'm still thinking. I need to call Hanya and talk to her about creating a partnership between. Pilgrim doesn't want to be a part of it, but it would be me, Hanya, or not me, but Bridge, Hanya's university, Steffi's university, possibly someone else's. Maybe Moisa would be interested. I don't know. And the pedagogical faculties are in my interest, and to create a project, EU money, where
you're thinking of a European funded one.
Yeah, but Pilgrims is out, and we are all European, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So we could get a fund for it. I already checked that, and it would be interesting for the agency. They told me that if we manage to put this together, it's going to be one of the most interesting projects they've ever done.
Really?
And it would be connected.
So what have you put forward to them?
My idea is to connect pedagogical faculties, Slovakia.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's a lovely idea.
Yeah, Slovakia, Gdańsk, where Hanya is,
Yeah.
where Steffi is, and Moita. I don't know. I don't really know her that well. And
well, she's the pedagogical person in the sense of not talking about Pestalozzi and Kaminsky, but in terms of practical teaching.
So if we put together these 3 faculties, maybe Slovak would be the 4th one.
And then I can think there would be more in Italy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we need but for the sake of the project, to kick it off and to try it out, we would have, let's say, 4 faculties, and the project would finance the mobilities between them, so the students can travel from one to another, and they would work. I want them to work on your stuff, so I want them what Steffi does with her
providing that goes okay.
Writing, it does not necessarily need to be writing. It might be running workshops for colleagues, students.
Okay, yes.
To try out the exercises you have suggested, and then discussing about them. So basically, running a pedagogical methodological course and exchanging the ideas, materials between these 4 universities.
This is very exciting.
But based on your things. For the sake of the resource bank.
Based, let's say, on what my things have begun.
Yeah.
But I hope you're going to have more boxes or more boxes at some stage to float down the river.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, because if we kind of from what I imagine that out of the project would come up would be metrics that we could use that was verified in the project
Yeah.
that we could use for in the future for students to learn from each other, to network, and at the same time to explore the work of humanistic language teacher trainers.
Yes, that's a lovely idea. I'm bad at names, as you know, until I look them up. But I can think of about the lady who was pioneered in North Italy, who has pioneered the whole idea of teacher observing each other. Carmen Argondizzo
Peer observation, you mean?
yeah, yeah. Carmen Argondizzo in Cosenza, who's not in a pedagogical faculty actually, but she's very strongly pedagogically interested. There's a woman in Rome who lives in Via Mogadishu, and I can't remember her name. She's got 2 children. But I can find all those names. So there would be more than just one, and they would be people with a very strongly established reputations in Italy. Another thought occurs to me, given the network of, a negative thought, anybody who gives Hania anything more to do should be imprisoned for several years. Because she's completely mad about what she takes on.
I haven't talked to her.
She's got massive granddaughter, grandmother duties, and she takes them very, very passionately seriously, all to her credit. She runs HLT. She's decided to stay on until 65 to increase her pension in the university, so at least another 3 or 4 years of full-time faculty work. It'd be lovely to have her in because she's a good person, but
I don't think she has necessarily need to do any admin or anything. I mean, I have no idea, but I would take that on my shoulders. That would be my thing because I don't run any faculty, so I can't be the same way, useful as they are. So that would be my part of the game. But
and I think that Balotto's husband might send some competent alpinists over the mountains to murder you if you suggest anything more that she should do away from home.
And she can do it at home.
She can do it at home. In that case, you probably will be physically safe. He must be either he's fed up with her or he must be a saint, because she's all over the place. I'm giving her lunch. I think, is it next weekend? Yes, it's next weekend. Yeah. No, I don't say. I mean, in Faversham, she's doing one of her normal primary courses with the Dutch people. Yeah, that's a very big pilgrim's contract.
In Canterbury.
In Canterbury, yeah.
Where does it happen?
It happens in the Japanese sort of school buildings halfway down the hill, going down from the university.
Oh, okay. Is it? Well, I haven't managed even to call Hania because she's busy all the time. So I can imagine that to reach her is a hassle. Not that I tried every day, so that's another thing. But I tend to realize I haven't called her. It's far too late.
Yeah.
Maybe we can try to call her today.
Yeah, happy.
I think that if you go first, I'm safer.
I may be, but I haven't done a job for her, so I might be not safe.
Maybe that I don't know about
for the marvelous old days when the Soviet Union ran everything in Middle Europe, and there were no Hanyas and no Klaudias. They were properly sat upon by Russia. What marvelous days!
Long gone.
No, I think this is a very exciting idea because it has a group focus too.
Well, I've never done that.
And Stefania Junior did a marvelous job on her own. If there were 3 or 4 more also scuttling around boxes.
The thing is that what I'm not super happy about is that I don't really have time for her to help her with things.
Well, that's Balotto's job.
Yeah, but I don't even know how would I. But I think that sometimes if I thought about it before at the very beginning, which I didn't,
Yeah.
because I thought that naturally we'll meet, but we did not meet, even though she was in the same office very often.
Yeah, you were always running around at high speed.
I was running around, and also she was. Then
Do you have special spriggy shoes for running around faster at home?
So I wasn't really available to her as I thought I would have been.
Yeah.
So I would be. So I think that having more companions and also to
No, it would be nice if she was had people to have a coffee about and laugh over some absurdity they found in the archive or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Not archive.
Oh shit! That's about 3 times.
Did you say geometrically grow?
I'm losing at the moment in the punishment stakes.
Yes, you do. So, do you have the saying that the one who deepens the hole falls into it, or digs?
No, I haven't. But it's a perfect. No, there is a proverb which says, if you're in a hole, something like if you're in a hole, don't dig it deeper.
No, this is about if you dig a hole for someone else, you fall into it yourself.
Oh, I see. Yes. That's perfect to describe this situation.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. If you like, do you have any other, besides Hanya, if she's super busy, or Steffi, or Moisa, do you have any other, who would be good candidates to talk to?
Obviously, Zamorska. Magda Zamorska in Wood. Is it Woods? Yes. Woods. The L with the thing is W. They weren't very clever, those bloody Poles, when they chose that particular, because everybody gets it wrong. My wife always, it should be W. Woods. And Miłosz. Everybody in Europe says Miloš. Absolutely rubbish. I mean, it's wrong. For the Polish Miloš, it's Miłosz, because of the W. It is a very simple thing to learn.
So Magda would be the second after Hanya.
It's interesting that though Magda is a really nice person, and when I was looking around for,
she seems to be a lot easier to work with than Hanya.
Sorry?
She seems to be easier to work with than Hanya.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But when it was a question of trying to find a place for what at that stage, before we decided to call it an idea bank, was then an archive. Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
No money.
Clever.
There she was monumentally non-functional. She talked about somebody who was senior in a certain library in Łódź and somewhere else in Poland, and it was all in the air, nothing happened. So there are some things that she's not good at, and in this case it was my absurd...
Pushing the ideas.
Pushing the idea, no, absolutely not. But once she's working with a class, I mean, I was dead right when I suddenly thought it's time that woman went and worked in Italy, because her temperament is very close to an Italian temperament.
She's a very nice person.
And I was dead right. For once, I made a right management decision. Rather than sending John Morgan to Brazil to very nearly break his marriage.
Why?
Well, because he fell in love with this lady who was a bossy boots, rather like his own wife. It was really a question of a guy jumping from the frying pan into the fire. She ran a massively large school. And I read one of my jobs after he died, I took on, was I said to his wife, I'll give you a week's time and I'll work day and night to try to get through everything in his office and make certain decisions. Often I'll have to come and ask you what the decision should be. And if I feel a doubt, then of course, so when it was a question of going getting through a pile of love letters from this lady, I said to Elena, are they to be burnt, or are they to be sent back, or what? And she agreed that sending back might be the sensible thing. I shouldn't have sent it to Brazil, should I? But then I did send Paul and Hanya to Bulgaria together. They became an item, so.
Well, Paul is retired. He doesn't do anything anymore.
Why are we thinking? Why are we thinking Slovakia and Italy in this case?
What do you mean?
Well, in the idea of getting together.
The reason you mean in a project thing?
Yes.
Because we need European countries.
Of course.
We need pedagogical faculties.
Yes.
So I was looking for people who I know. So Balotto came up.
But wouldn't you haven't mentioned Hungary?
So I don't know anyone there.
Well, isn't Medjia still involved in the faculty?
No, I don't think so. I think Peter's gone from the university. He's not anymore at the university.
No, but doesn't he sort of have? Doesn't he know all of the gang?
Maybe Agi. No, Agi would be. You know Agi?
No, it rings a very faint tinkle of a bell.
Agi, maybe that's I haven't thought of her. No, Peter is not at university, but Agi, what's her name? Agi, she was our keynote last year. How can I not remember her name? She's a lovely person. She's a very, very nice person. Teacher trainer. And she teaches at the university, which Peter has started. His department. Agi, Enyedi Agi.
Okay.
Agi is the same university where Frank Prescott is.
Don't know him.
It's a very tall guy. It's like super tall, like a basketball player.
Oh yeah.
And he works together with Mark Andrews, so they are like. It's super funny. Rakesh did with that because when I started the camp, the first camps I've done were with Sol, sharing one language, and the trainers were Mark, Frank, and Rakesh. They were a very good triple, and we did like 3 years together, and then I decided not to continue, and then I started my own camp.
You can't say triple there, you say threesome.
Threesome?
Threesome. Triple, I think, I was more as an adjective. The Triple Alliance.
Oh, triple something, okay.
The Triple something.
Triple trainers, yeah.
Maybe the trainers who liked tipple, which means drink.
That as well.
Yes, I mean, the people who might be particularly interested in this might be people in the smaller countries.